Hello there. Today we're going to talk about friendships and trauma and what trauma actually does to the kind of relationships that you want in your life. You know, I've had a long history with trauma and recovery from trauma and healing from trauma. And one of the things that I know is that certain presentations of trauma in our daily lives impact our capacity to maintain and consolidate and grow beautiful friendships. So is that you? Is that something that that really resonates with you? Do you have a longing to move beyond isolation that is a component of having a trauma history to connection with other people? But every time you do, you reach these kinds of obstacles or stumbling blocks that make it really difficult for you to connect. Or you might connect, but then you're so hypersensitive that the relational aspect of the to and fro of communication and people offering their advice or their opinions on things is so fraught for you and so difficult that you find a way to blow it up and retreat back into yourself again. And so the cycle goes on and on. I know so many women who live in this kind of place. They make connection with really good women or really good men, with good people, but they have this post-traumatic stress syndrome background and they might have complex post-traumatic symptoms, and they connect with people, and then before they know it, the fight-flight has taken over, the fawning, the collapse, or the massive retreat, which is just a form of flight. All this stuff happens and they don't know what's happened. All they know is that they're reacting to the other human being. And so communication becomes difficult. Maintaining consistent community in your life or in our lives becomes difficult. And we just end up feeling really futile and hopeless. You know, I see this so often in clients when they first come to me. And I see it in women who I've coached in groups, and I see it in women who just have trauma histories, and men too. But I work primarily with women as well as some men. So what I'm talking about here is just my experience around coaching women with these kinds of issues. And what I want to say is there are ways forward. But what it does take is a degree of self-reflection, and it takes a degree of learning to be honest with ourselves. And it takes a degree of being able to look at our trauma fairly and squarely in the eye and say, yes, this is what my trauma has done to my behaviours. This is how it's impacted my behaviours. And these relationship issues that I have and friendship issues that I have are inextricably linked in and interconnected and intertwined with my trauma symptoms. And when we start getting really honest about this, we start being able to do the unraveling. Well, that's what I call it anyway. There's an unraveling process that you can do that really helps you to stop the blame game or to stop actually even taking on too much blame, which is another thing that some of us trauma survivors can do, and starts helping you to separate yourself out from other people so that these kinds of enmeshments and problems don't happen. You know, one of the key features that I see in women with trauma histories who haven't had much experience in treating the symptoms, when they're in relationship, they really have this need. They want alliances in their friendships instead of open communication. So everyone has to agree with them. They think that everyone has to have the same political views. Everyone has to have the same views about other people. Everyone has to have the same views about sociocultural issues. Everyone has to have the same views as, about the environment or about their political persuasions on a granular level or about some other kind of issue. And what I want to say to you is, if that's you, if it's you, it's a really painful place to live, because ultimately what it means is we don't have any difference or divergence or variety in our lives in the end. We just have everyone being exactly the same as us. That's what we want around us. And it's kind of a little bit of a mild kind of narcissistic-y kind of thing. And I don't want to go into labeling and all that kind of stuff, but it's very self-absorbed to want that. And sometimes trauma makes us self-absorbed. It makes us a little bit rigid. We fight, flight. We want to stay in control because we want to make sure that everything's safe, because safety means that we feel able to relax a little bit if we've got those really, you know, like steel boundaries around us. And if we want to heal, we want to loosen those a little bit and allow the breeze to flow through and allow people to be different and allow our friendships to be made up of people who aren't exactly like us. You see, when you come from trauma, that rigidity starts constricting how you relate to other people. And, you know, my experience also has shown me that trauma and some kind of fundamentalist extreme issues are also often related to each other, whether that's extreme right wing or extreme left wing or extreme positioning on certain matters or extreme causes. Often if we take it right back to its root, the person has some kind of trauma that they're projecting onto the external world, and they're trying to create that safety and that assuredness and have everything in neat compartments and boxes. And I just want to tell you, it doesn't work. My experience is it doesn't work. I used to do it many years ago. And what I'd like to say is also that the really beautiful, enriching magnificence of humanity is that we are so different and diverse, and we are so informed by different views and different positions and different ideas. And if we can start embracing that and enjoying that in a really full way, we find that our lives open up a lot more into a realm of community. And that's what's really, really lovely. You know, it's really lovely. It's about interconnection then and regeneration and interconnectedness with all life forms. And it's about diversity, and it's about flow, and it's about healing and joy. And really that's, you know, that's where I live, and that's where I want you to live. I don't live there all the time, but I have so much more of it than I used to. So if your friendships, wobbling the table there, if your friendships are kind of hallmarked by this need for agreeance and the need for control and the need for having people think exactly the same as you, maybe it's time to get a handle on that a little bit and to consider some ways of healing your trauma so that you don't have to, you know, adhere to that so much going forward. I hope so anyway. You know, that's what I want about. And, you know, it's a great joy to me to see women who I coach and who go through my programs start loosening up a little bit and start finding a little bit more safety in their lives, so that their lives aren't all about forcing other people to think exactly like them, or aren't all about getting really hypersensitive about someone else's journey and someone else's views and someone else's opinions. We've got too much of that in the world at the moment, in my view. You know, our world is so polemical and polarized at the moment. And, you know, it just seems really regrettable to me that there isn't an expansiveness that's being promoted more globally. You know, I don't know where we're going as a race, but all I know is that fundamentally I am the same as everyone else on the planet, and I'm the same as every single other human being. When you strip it down, I'm exactly the same as everyone else, and everyone else is exactly the same as me. And if I can find that point in myself, that relational capacity, that communication capacity that is about hearing and listening and working with and developing a dialectic, you know, or an exchange that is respectful and healthy, then I feel like we're on a good path forward. And that's my thoughts on friendship and trauma. And, you know, lastly, I'd just like to say there's no no mistake about it that at the moment we are undergoing a collective trauma in the world with the pandemic and with, with other issues that we're facing, and if we can understand that polemical views and binary thinking and black and white attitudes of one extreme or the other possibly aren't the way forward. And I'm not saying that the middle path is the way forward on every issue, but what I am saying is somehow can we human beings come to a point of healing ourselves and other people around us through heartfelt practices that are all about regeneration of self, recreation and creation of self in a way that is meaningful, and taking stock to respect other people in a way that isn't trauma bound and trauma bonded, but is born out of the essence that is in each of us. So on that note, I'm going to go. I've got work to do. Have a great day. I hope you do. And lots of love. And come to YouTube and see me there. Go to Facebook, CSC Change Room, or Camilla Slater, my Facebook. Or you can go to camillaslater.com, my new website, which is just starting to get up and running and will be up and running fully in 2022 with the courses and with some other group stuff. And if you want one-to-one coaching, you can go there too. And you can also contact me on camilla@camillaslater.com. So I have a couple of slots, usually maybe sometimes one and maybe none. But if you do make a connection with me, we can talk about that. Have a great day. Lots of love. Stay well, stay loving, and heal your trauma if you have it. It is possible and it is beautiful. Bye for now.